Good morning once again. Okay, so you all know you know what I'm like now. So I'm gonna try this again. So good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. Now, doesn't that feel better? Yes, it feels better to me. I always tell you, look, you don't want me being up 4 or 5 hours on Saturday night. Look, I hung out Saturday night, which means I had to get up even extra early and work on this. So, let's be present. Because remember, I always tell you, how we come and what we give is what we're going to get. And when you come half-baked and you come all tired, well, I've been up all night too. Not really all night, but So it's better when we allow our energy and our spirit and our vibration, because it heals us, right? When we come, but when you feel that vibration, let's do it again. Good morning.
Good morning.
That vibration right there is enough to heal you. You can go home based on that vibration. You understand? Just like Ricky, didn't you say you got healed and anointed in a moment? In a moment. So we want to be present to every moment and giving our all, giving our best, not being, but we'll have those moments too, but just recognize when you're in that. See, the key is to recognize when you're in that state, when you're in that moment. It's not that you're not going to have it, but if you are aware of it, you then are able to transition out of it. You're able to transform it. You're able to do something about it. It's when you're unconscious that you're in that moment that havoc begins to take its place in your life. So here we are today. We're going to continue with our last part of this series for now. We may pick it up at some other time, but we got Holy Week coming up. So we're going to finish this part out on our series of the journey into and beyond yourself. I didn't have much time to get to the beyond ourselves, so I'll probably pick that up at some other point, because we've been working on what? The into. But there is a power beyond yourself that is equally important. Once you get to the into yourself, you're able then to move to the beyond self. See? But we'll take that up. Let's just continue with this phase right now. The last phase that we're going to talk about for now is this journey into ourselves. Because the one person, the one being that has been with you all through your life is you. Right? Wherever you go, what? There you are. Wherever you go, you are the common denominator in your life. You're the principal character of your experience of life. You're the one that is with you whatever you do and however you're showing up. It's you. All through your life, you hold the key. You hold the key to your liberation. You hold the key to your happiness. You hold the key to your enlightenment. You hold the key to your freedom. See, we've been duped to think that other people hold the key to our happiness. Other people have the key to my liberation and my freedom. No. You hold the key. The destiny and the journey of your life and of your soul lies within you. Because your soul is your consciousness. And nobody else can have your consciousness for you except what? You. So your destiny, your journey, your life lies within you. It's all around you. And this what I call the powerful, poignant apex of your very existence lies within your level of awareness of your consciousness. Your life experience really lies in the level of your awareness of your own consciousness. That's the apex of how you're being. So the question is then how much awareness do you hold in your consciousness? About anything, but especially about yourself. How do you see your own self? See, I was thinking about this morning. It's so easy to see everybody else, isn't it? Because I can look out here, I see everybody else with these eyes, except the one person that I really can't see with these eyes is who? Me. I can't see myself, but I can see you, which is why we have a tendency to always want to point out, well, I see what you're doing. I see what's showing up in you. Now, we can't see what we're doing because it's hard to see ourselves. There's a scripture from James that I love, and it really is talking about being doers of the word and not hearers only. That we have to, put our truth into action. But this is a phrase I love about it, and I'm reading from James chapter 1, verse 22. And it says, but don't just listen to God's word. You must do what it says. Otherwise, you're only fooling yourselves. For if you listen to the word and don't obey, it's like glancing at your face in a mirror. You see yourself, walk away, and forget what you look like. That's the point, you see. You look in the mirror, you see yourself, you can behold yourself, but the moment you walk away, you do what? You forget what you look like, right? If you see a photograph, oh yeah, that's me. You can identify yourself in a photograph, but to actually see, I can't see what I'm looking like right now. And life is like that. See, we need that mirror sometimes so that we can see ourselves. And when those projections that we're putting out there come reflecting back to us to show us who we are, we don't often like it. Because it's like, ooh, that must be about you and not me. What I'm seeing is you and not me. Okay? So it says, but if you, and this is what I like, so you see yourself, you walk away and you forget what you like. But if you look carefully into the perfect law that sets you free, and that perfect law is the law, what spiritual law is, the law of truth. But it says, but if you look carefully into the perfect law that sets you free, and if you do what it says and don't forget what you heard, then God will bless you for doing it. So we have a way sort of out. You can't see yourself. However, if you're looking into the law of truth, then you can remember. If you can hear it, you can remember what you look like. You can remember what's been imprinted on your being and your soul, not from a physical standpoint, but from an internal place of truth. I'm going to look into the spiritual laws of truth, and that will tell me and remind me of who I am. It'll remind me of what's taking place in my life. Even though I cannot see myself, I have an opportunity to experience myself and to remember the truth that's going to set me free. So this is the key. The degree to which you are self-aware, right? The degree to which you are self-aware will be the point in which you'll be either feeling that you're one with life or that you are at the mercy of life. I'm going to say that again. The degree to which you are self-aware and that you can see yourself and self-aware will be the same degree to which you will either be one with life or at the mercy of life. So we need to see how we're showing up. Victim or victor. Now, we've been working with this series to help us see ourselves, right? So that we can become more aware of our internal nature, our internal makeup. And as well as looking at all those things that might be hindrances to us, right? Hindrance to our inner peace. Hindrance to our peace of mind. Those things that might come up and, trigger us and cause us to move off course. And so last week we began to look at our attachments. And especially the attachment that we might have to external appearances, right? Again, we're hooked on, I see it, so therefore it must be true. I see it with my physical eyes. I see it in the manifest realm, and therefore it must be true. And we talked about being attached to external appearances is what Jesus warned us about when he said judge not by what? Appearances, but judge ye by righteous judgment. Judge by what is right within your own being. Right? So not by this external attachment. And we looked at how we have to get away from, how we think we're showing up and how I think I'm looking to you and how you're looking to me and all this external stuff, which takes us down perhaps a path we don't want to come or go. And so we're looking at all that. But if we're going to push through to enlightenment, if we're going to push through to a higher level of consciousness, then we've got to see what else may motivate us, what else may hinder us on our journey. What actually moves us? What attachments do we have? Meaning, what are you attaching to your consciousness? What are you attaching to your view of life? What assumptions are you making about life? Because I stop now and I say, is that an assumption you just made? When I think, oh, this is what I know what they're thinking, this is what I see, I say, is that an assumption? You know, because we make up these stories, right? We say, this is my story. And we start telling it to ourselves, and it may not be the truth. It might be just what? A story. It might be just a story. So we want to look at what are we attaching our consciousness to? And what is it that is motivating us? And what is it that hinders us? Because we do have those things that I call, we have our drivers. Those are the things that move us along the path. There's an energy in the flow that drives us to a particular destination. And then we have our triggers. And our triggers usually take us off course, right? When you're triggered, because you have veered far from the truth. Now you're way over here, triggered, all up in your emotions, all up in your stuff, right? So we have to look at what's driving us and what is actually triggering us. Are we on course, on point, or are we off point? Now, some of your drivers, as I call them, your drivers can also, they'll move you, but they may not necessarily be moving you down the right path. You might be motivated, but your motivations might not be in alignment with where you really say you want to go, right? You know, I'm motivated to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and go down and get me a snickerdoodle or a noni biscuit, and I do. That is a motivation, but it's not taking me down the course where I say, girl, you need to lose some, you need to. But I'm motivated by a limited or a negative, right, motivation. So it's driving me. So we need to look at making sure that our drivers, that which is moving us, is really taking us on the path that we want to go. And whether our triggers are taking us off course as well. So let's look at this next level of attachment. We looked last week at attachment to external appearances. Well, since we're talking about drivers and moving, whether we're unconscious or what's moving us through this thing we call life, and I want to start this morning with the attachment to success and our fear of failure. Because those are motivators for us, sometimes consciously good and sometimes maybe not so good. This whole thing of attachment to success. You know, if there's one book on success, there's 1,000, right? You can go online and find 100,000 books on success. Everybody wants to be successful. Is that not true? Everybody wants to somehow have this label of success placed upon their lives. Everybody wants to succeed, but of course, the converse is also true. Nobody wants to fail. Nobody wants to go down that road of failure. We are told that success is the mark or the measure that we should be striving for. I love the phrase, by the way, that says, the mark of success is upon you. However, I've had to reevaluate that a little bit. It's a powerful statement, but it has to be given in the right consciousness. Because sometimes we think, oh, I must strive for success. I must strive to get this mark, this golden key. You know, success is the golden key of life. And so we go off trying to search to find it, right? Whatever that means for us, whatever this success means for you and me, it might be different. But we're off in search for success. And we attach our sense of self to it sometimes, right? And it becomes the variable to which we measure whether we have made it in life or whether we haven't made it in life. We think, well, have I reached it? You know, have I made it? Have I achieved it? Have I attained it? Am I there yet? Right? Because we think it's someplace I need to be. Has all this stuff happened for us? And God forbid you figure out that you haven't made it, you haven't achieved it, you haven't found it. Then all of a sudden, that fear sets into, well, maybe the opposite of a success is taking hold in me, which means I might be experiencing a bit of what? Failure. I'm not succeeding. If you're not succeeding at life, well, maybe I must be what? Failing at life. And then that's the one thing we want to avoid at all costs. Let me avoid some failure. I don't want to fail at life. I don't want at the end of my life to say, oh, they were a loser, a failure. So we get into all this consciousness of striving for success and fearing failure, trying to avoid that opposite expression of what we deem success. But you know what the definition of failure is? I looked it up, and Daniel Webster says that it is the lack of success. So, you know, right, it just takes you in a little loop. So all of a sudden, you just try, I can't fail, but I have success. And this is the thing, none of those things are permanent states of being. That's the key. See, we don't necessarily suffer because we experience some kind of quote-unquote failure. It is the fact that we think we should be in a permanent state of success that hangs us up. Because now I'm going to be afraid of failure. I love the quote that Oprah Winfrey says about failure. She says it's just an experience. It's just an experience, right? But we have then labeled it as somehow some kind of mark against our beingness, as if our beingness hangs upon whether we achieve success or failure. And it's just simply an experience. It's not necessarily a destination. It's an experience. And John Wooden, some of you who are basketball aficionados know John Wooden, and he was considered to be one of the most winningest coaches that there was, right? But this is what he says about success. He says success is peace of mind, which is a direct result of self-satisfaction in knowing that you made the effort to do your best, to become the best that you are capable of becoming. He said success is an attitude. I love that. Success is an attitude, and failure is simply an experience. What if we could really own that success is an attitude and failure is simply an experience? So we need to check ourselves, to check to see whether we're chasing success as an achievement and avoiding fear as an experience. We got to check ourselves, because neither one of those states are going to serve you well. None of it. Instead, what we might do is to resolve to have a consciousness that will simply allow you to put forth your best. At any given moment in time, you're putting forth your best. That's what he says success is. It isn't some final achievement that you have made. It's you're putting forth your best in any given moment. And this is the thing that I love about evolution and transformation and growth in life, is that your best is going to continue to evolve as well. So just because it was your best yesterday doesn't mean it's going to be your best today. But it isn't something, so this is a very powerful, I think, approach to life, because success is an attitude, not an achievement. It's not a goal I'm trying to reach. Because what happens is when you reach that goal, then you got to reach another one and another one and another one, and you can't even enjoy. You don't enjoy. He talked about self-satisfaction. You get no self-satisfaction because you're now in the race. That's done next. That's done next, right? Let me pursue this. Let me chase this. I got to chase success. No, you just simply have to be in your best. Give your best. Experience in the moment what is taking place. Success is not, it's an attitude and not an achievement. And while we're holding this consciousness of my best, this consciousness, then we allow ourselves to also at the same time embrace whatever experience comes into your life that is simply pointing out your growing edges. Refuse to call it a failure, right? Because it's just what? an experience. It's just an experience. And it's an experience that's showing you and pointing out that, this is your growing edge. So when something happens and it's not working out, you can say, ooh, I've discovered a new growing edge. Ooh, look at this growing edge, as opposed to, oh, my Lord, I failed, I didn't do it, I didn't achieve it, I didn't accomplish it. No. Wow. I discovered a new growing edge. Right? That's what, who was it? Thomas Edison said he didn't fail at things. He just discovered 1,000 ways something don't work. He didn't see it as a failure. He was into the discovery of things. So this was the discovery of another way. So we see this is your growing edge. I'm on the continuum of life. And so I'm not reaching a point and a destination. I'm in what? I'm in flow. And so this experience is just taking me on to the next continuum, the next growing edge of life. Not failure, not even success, but movement in the flow of how things work. In this cosmic dance, because life is a cosmic dance. There's a dance of success, whatever you want to call success, growth, edge, moving. It's just an experience. And so what we want to do is figure out how can we move to that place which supports our ongoing. And why are we hung up on this whole thing of success and failure? Attachment to success and avoidance and fear of failure. And I think it has to do with this next attachment that lies underneath all this other attachments, which is the attachment to seeking pleasure and avoiding pain. Because again, who in their right mind wants to seek some pain and avoid pleasure? Not unless you're into that, but that's a whole nother talk. We ain't gonna go there. But we're talking about, your emotional and your psychological well-being. Because in our right consciousness and right mind, we're going to seek what? Pleasure. And try to do what? Avoid pain. That's a natural thing. However, that can also get us into this loop, right? Because we want to be happy, we want to seek, we pursue, again, in the pursuit of happiness. You don't really have to pursue happiness. You can't get any more happy than it already exists within your being. But we try to pursue joy. We try to pursue happiness. We try to and avoid what? Sadness and grief and, disappointment and rejection and all of these things. But guess what? You cannot avoid those things because that is also on the continuum of life. And where it's easiest, I think, to see this whole conditioning we have to want to seek pleasure and avoid pain, we see it easiest in our relationships. Remember I said last week we were going to talk just a teeny bit about relationships. I know that's why you came back this Sunday. But we see it easiest in that because there's something about when we are in relationship to the other that we can best see our attachment to pleasure and our avoidance of pain. Because don't we love to be loved? Yes. It feels good to be loved. And we want to have that feeling and to know that our other, the sacred other, loves us, moves us into a state of feeling what? Pleasure, feeling good, feeling, wow, everything is right with the world. But when that opposite takes place, we are plummeted all of a sudden into what? Woo! Deep pain. And if you've been in a relationship, you know both. Right? You know how it is to be feeling immersed in love, and you know what it's like when you somehow think or feel or perceive that somehow love is not there. You are plummeted into the pits of pain and despair. The body reacts. You can't eat, can't sleep. Right? The mind is all confused. Your emotions are turned upside down. And you could be a neuroscientist and physicist of some kind, but when your love life ain't working, you're all messed up. So it has nothing to do with the position you hold and the intelligence you have, because it hits us deep. It hits us where we live from that place of love, right? Because love is a powerful powerful emotion. It's who we are. It's about, and so when that gets all topsy-turvy, everything gets untethered in our spirit. We get all messed up. And so we can see, yes, I love you when you're complimenting me. I love you when you're living up to my expectations. I love it when you somehow have the attention upon me, when you're adoring me, when you see my beauty and my value and my worth, and you tell me every day how I'm like the sun and the moon and the stars. Yes, I love that. But then when you start noticing my wants and, well, you gained a little here, haven't you? Oh, you got this? And all of a sudden, the opposite happens, right? And we're on this roller coaster ride because there's something in us that wants to seek that pleasure and we want to avoid that pain. And we see it most there because that's where we kind of live in that space. There are people who can't enter into a committed relationship because they like the high they get from a new relationship. You know what I mean? When you're newly in love, everything, it feels good. And then when stuff starts getting familiar, it's like, okay, next. Because they're addicted, right? No. They are addicted to that surge of the endorphins moving and the pheromones expressing, and it feels good. So they don't want to commit. They want to have that perpetual experience of being, quote unquote, in love, as opposed to being love. Be loved, not in love. In love is fine, but it's temporary. It's being love itself that will maneuver you through life. Not in love. If you're chasing after that love, if you're chasing after that one you think gets you, they get me. And everybody wants to be got, right? You get me, I get you. But then all of a sudden when you don't get me, it's like, I don't like that feeling. You don't get me. But nobody's ever going to get you totally, permanently. And we don't get another. It's a flow. There's a dance to life. There's a rhythm to life. It's filled with ups and downs and ins and outs and twists and turns. And the suffering we experience is because we only want one experience. We think life should be, because somebody told us it's supposed to be bliss that looks like this. But bliss comes when you can handle the ups and the downs just as the same as you can handle the joy. When you can handle your sorrows the same way you handle your joy. When you can handle the pleasure the same way you handle the pain. When you're in that flow, that's when bliss takes place. Not when you're up and you're down and you're in the... See, we think that life is like an evolutionary experience. It does move onward and upward. That is the nature of evolution. But it goes like this. It doesn't go straight up. You know the charts that people use when they're trying to show growth from a financial perspective? And what you see when a stock you got grows, it goes like this. It goes up and it goes down and 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 maybe it goes flatline here and it goes up and it goes. But what is happening? It's moving up, but not in a straight line, because life doesn't flow like that. And how we handle those down times is significant. Because if you think you're not supposed to have them, and sometimes we true students get all caught up in thinking, well, no, how you doing? I'm just fine, I'm fine. Everything's good. And inside, we are all broken up. When if we understood how to approach those down moments, those down times, and seeing, you know what, this is an experience. This is a growing edge for me. Let me experience the pain, because it's not about avoiding pain. You can't do that. Pain is inevitable, but suffering what? Is a choice. I'm going to say that again. Pain is inevitable. You're not going to get out of here without experiencing some of it. But suffering is a choice. You get that? So you don't want your pain to overtake you to the place where all you can do now is suffer. You have that experience. You feel the pain. You feel the emotions. But let your pain serve a purpose. Let your pain tell you what it's come to teach you. Let that pain show you what's your next growing edge. Okay, so I'm evolving. I'm up and I'm down, I'm up and I'm down and I'm up and I'm down. But I'm in this flow. I'm in the flow. Or maybe I'm going this way, but I'm in the flow. I'm in the rhythm. I'm dancing to the rhythm of life. There's chaos and yet there's order. Right? There's all of that. There's sunshine and then there's rain. What did Frankie Beverly say? Some joy and pain. And sunshine and rain. You're going to have it all. The Bible says that the rain falls upon the just and the unjust, as well as what? The sun. We all going to get our fair share of all of it. But it's when we can see that all of it makes up this thing called life, and that we just get ourselves in the groove of flowing with what is presenting itself at the moment. I'm not going to seek after pleasure to avoid pain. I'm not going to chase success and fear failure. I'm going to be present to my life. And as I am present to my life, with the remembrance that God is with me in every situation and circumstance, that there is a dynamic energy, a dynamic force, a dynamic flow that is moving the universe and is moving my life and my affairs. And when I attach myself to that, I'm able to maneuver through it all. And if it's my season for a little pain, fine, but my pain will not turn into my suffering. Right? I'm in process, I'm in purpose, I'm on point. And that's the beauty of life, of getting ourselves to the place where we understand this thing called life. We live it with grace and ease and presence. I want to leave you with this poem. We've heard it before, and some say it was written by a gentleman named Guillermo Apollinaire, and some say it was written by a gentleman named Christopher Logue. I don't know who wrote it, but anyway. And it says, "Come to the edge," he said. "We can't. We're afraid," they responded. "Come to the edge," he said. "We can't. We will fall," they responded. "Come to the edge," he said. They said, "We can't. It's too high." "Come to the edge," he said. And they came, and he pushed them, and they flew. We got to come to the edge, right? And we're going to fly because that's spirit moving us. So venture into the journey of yourself and beyond yourself. Don't be afraid to touch the heights, the depth, the breadth of your own being. Because when we do that, we will see that we have no limits, that we can soar as high as our consciousness will allow us. And when you go to the edge, jump. Blessings. 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 Blessings.